Alex, I am so excited to talk to you today and learn from you today because you have had one of the fastest growth that I've ever seen in the industry. So in 2023, you did 5 million. You're going to end 2025, and we're recording this in December, with 67 million. You're going to do a little bit more than that. At the beginning of the year, you were just a team of one yourself. Now you have five. You have a processor, two LOAs, and an LO that work directly under you. You are top two in Colorado for short-term rental loans. You're the king of short-term rentals in Colorado. And 66% of all of your 2025 loans were non-QM. I'm so excited to learn from you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Sam.
Of course. My first question actually to you is, how does it feel to have such a massive growth in such a short time?
Honestly, it's one of those things that you don't even realize until you stop to take a moment to realize, right? Like, it doesn't feel like 2 years ago I was only closing 5 million, and it doesn't feel like I'm closing 67 million. I mean, 2 years ago, the pinnacle to me was 20, 30 million. That's fantastic, right? And now I'm well surpassed that, and I'm like, it doesn't even feel like I'm at my potential anymore at this point. So it just goes so fast from one to start to beginning.
When did you look up and realize you're actually going to do as much volume as you've done?
So I think I had 30 million as a mark, and as like what the pinnacle was, because that's our company's sales strip. And for me, I think I hit 30 million midsummer this year. And it wasn't until that time that I hit 30 million and I was like, wait a minute, this used to be my goal, and it's June, right? So I think that point was when I started to realize, wow, okay, cool. I guess there's a lot more to be had. And I realized what I was doing.
Wow. What happens to your personal life? Because like obviously when you do this much, like your income changes too, but your work schedule changes. Like how does that transition work?
I think that is I think there's good and bad things, right? So, I mean, part of it is, one, you don't always have as much time, especially during the growth phase. I mean, I'm 29. I'm still in that growth phase. I'm willing to work, more hours than I would like to work in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't have children yet, so it's like, okay, this is my time to do that. So it's real easy to fall out of touch with your standard sphere that you've been working with. But I think a big thing for me has been focusing on the things that I really like, which is I've done a lot more traveling than I've ever done this year. I got engaged to my fiance this year, and we still appreciate that, and just still trying to find those things and build on what's going to make an impact going forward. So I guess it's just being pickier about what I'm doing outside of work.
So I've heard a lot of people say when they become pickier, they have to let some people down around their life, or like let go of like a part of themselves that they really liked. Have you felt that as well?
For sure. I mean, it's a balance. I mean, I think anybody who is trying to get to that next level of success, no matter what it is in, you're going to leave some people and some habits and some of you behind to be able to grow, right? I mean, you can't keep all of your bad habits that maybe you had in college or in high school and still become that ultra successful person that you plan to be in the future.
Is there something for you that you stopped doing that you remember that was really hard?
The biggest thing for me that was, I think, a big part of my transition was the party. I used to be the life of the party kind of guy, and I still am in just a different sense, right? But like through my whole life, that was a big part of me and my identity. And now it's like, okay, well, I can still have that, but without all the chaos. I don't have 2 a.m. nights anymore.
That's actually a really impressive one, and a really important one. I was the same way. I was a very big drinker, and I remember when I was like 25 years old, I had this moment, like I was just hungover talking to someone that I always dreamt of. Like he was a CEO, and I always dreamt of talking to a CEO. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, I'm not like at my A game. I'm not achieving the things I want to do. Why? Because I had fun last night. And it wasn't even that fun. Like, it was a great time, but like compared to what's possible, it's not like peak of living. And that was a big turning point for me to just like change it. Doesn't mean I don't go out anymore, doesn't mean I don't drink, but it's just such a small part of my life versus what it used to be.
100%. And I think that's a big thing that people overlook as just just really important. Like you said, you're not in your A game, right? And if you're going to be from, right now I'm probably top 0.5% of LOs in the country. If you're going to be top 0.5, 0.1% in anything in your life, sometimes you got to be on your A game on a Saturday and a Sunday, which you're not if you're dealing with the hangover. For me, it was I did the 75 hard back in, gosh, it was 2022, the end of 2022 into 2023, 75 days, no drinking, no whatever, going to the gym every day, following a diet. And at the end of that, in just 75 days, I could see a difference in both how I felt, how I looked. And honestly, I couldn't go back to it. We had a Super Bowl party the weekend after I finished the 75 hard, and I was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna party. I'm gonna do this. I had one drink with the guys. I'm like, man, I don't want to take an Uber home. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna drive home. You know what I mean? It's a big change for sure.
It's that sounds like such a drastic shift in identity in such a short period of time. Do you know who Rene Rodriguez is?
I don't.
So he's big in the mortgage world and he talks about influence. His big thing is influence. And Renee, I hope it's okay that I'm saying this in public. If you haven't taken a course with Renee for anyone, go take it. It's incredible. But basically, one of the most impactful things he told me is like, we believe that we make a decision and then we take action and we get an outcome. But that's not what happens. We make a decision, we want to take action, but then we meet resistance. So we don't get to the outcome. In order to overcome the resistance or minimize the resistance, we actually need to have a change in identity first. And once we have that change in identity, the resistance drops. Now, there's two ways to go about it. And this is now I'm expanding beyond what Renee's taught me. This is my personal anecdotal life. You can just do sheer volume, kind of like with the 75 hard, so your identity changes. Or you can start to think of yourself differently, and affirmations are like a big part of it, or like reframes is the better word for it, to kind of create this identity of who you want to be and who you believe to be internally, but you're not like congruent with it outside world. Obviously, a combination of the two, I think, works best, but that identity shift needs to happen before massive success happens. And like I'm looking at you, talking to you, like, man, to go from doing 5 million 2 years ago, where you did the 75 hard, the identity shift happens, and now you're literally in the top 0.5 to 1% of loan officers in the country. There we go. And it's like you don't even notice it. You're just doing the work.
For sure. Yeah, and it's crazy because I would spend the 40 hours a week working on $5 million worth of loans, right? And you just fill your time with the work that you have available. So that I think that's part of the shift that you're expanding what your capacity is, right? So you're no longer at capacity of dealing with 1, 2, or 3 loans a month. I used to freak out if I had more than 5 loans at a time, and now I'm freaking out if I have less than 10 at a time, right? So it's like it's a very different shift, but I think, like you're saying, it takes that expansion.
How does it feel to make this much money now? Like obviously doing 5 million a year, you're not making a lot of money. We all know it. Making 60 million, doing 60 million, you're making life-changing money. How does that impact you or people around you?
You know, I think at first it's a little bit of a shift. So you have to realize, I mean, two things. One, the money never goes as far as you think it's going to go, right? I mean, that's a big thing. Is it can be a lot of money, and I mean, I remember being younger and thinking 6 figures was life changing money, and obviously nowadays 6 figures is not nearly what it needs to be, right? So, I think that's part of the shift. First is just knowing how to deal with that. It's a different level of responsibility because you can blow it just as fast if you're making $30,000 a month versus $5,000 a month. But what it has done for me is a couple of things. I've made bad financial decisions along the way. I mean, I bought properties, I bought flips, I bought things that weren't quite ready, that I wasn't quite ready for, and later had to pay the price for. So, um, that's come with, okay, that's part of what I had to drag myself out of, but I've been able to also buy those properties and drag myself out of it, being able to enjoy, nicer vacations and being able to travel when I want to travel. And, I now have a Starlink roam so I can travel wherever I want in the world and still have internet, right? Because we can do that anywhere. So I think that's a big part of it. And then also, what it's done for, what it's done for me and my fiance mainly is, right now it's wintertime. We're deciding to spend the winter here in Florida in our place that we have here before we go back to Colorado come probably March timeframe. So it's like being able to have that flexibility and also buying places that we want to spend time in is really important too.
Mm, that's really good. I like what you said, that it's a responsibility. You can use that responsibility to make your life better or potentially worse with wrong decisions blowing the money. Do you feel happier now versus 2 years ago?
I'd say yes. I think right now I'm still um, dealing with some of the mistakes that I made last year,
Mm,
which continues to put the pressure on me. I think I'm happier because of the things that I'm able to do and that I have more freedom than I used to. I think part of what's stunting it is, as most people who are trying to grow successfully quickly, it is you're in a constant battle of still wanting more. And now I just have different responsibilities, especially now that I've brought my team on. Like, we spoke. I have about 4.7 million ready for January. For most people, that would be fantastic. For me, I'm stressed that my team isn't going to have enough business to keep them happy. Because I want to make sure now I'm responsible for my team's income as well, which
mm.
is just a different stressor. But uh, it's you can either rise to the challenge or crumble, right? And that's that breaking point you have to push past.
Are you enjoying the challenges?
For sure. Yeah. No, I think that's part of the reason I keep putting myself in them, right? Is I think I enjoy them and I enjoy being pushed. And there's a reason that doing the 75 hard pushed me to be better rather than had me crumble and not make it, as I like the challenge.
That's big. I've interviewed a lot of really big loan officers, and that is one common thread, that it's not like they have a healthy relationship with challenges, and I'll go even as far as like saying like even failures. It's not like they wake up and they're like, yes, I love to get punched in the gonads every morning. Like, it's just like, it is what it is. It's part of it. I like to like solve the problem and like get to the next level. And this is just part of it. So they don't like, it's the challenge isn't everything. It's just part of the process. And when you tell me like, yeah, you like how January for you is going to be a bit stressful, I don't hear it as like, oh, my world is falling apart. It's just like, no, it's one thing that you have to overcome to get to the next thing that you have to overcome. And that's okay.
For sure. And it's just, you can either get to that point and decide, oh, January's crap, let's give up and focus on February, or you figure out what your next steps are. And for me, that was going through my entire database and being like, okay, let's reach out to everybody who could possibly use a refinance. Let's do some farming stuff or maybe some FHA streamlines. It's realizing that even when it's slow, if you want to continue to expand or overcome those challenges, then you can't slow down because it's the week of Christmas right now, right? And most people are slowing down. And I'm like, okay, my team has off Christmas Eve, but I'm gonna be creating new processes during that time so that when we come back from the holidays, we can have a more efficient team. So it's just part of the territory, right?
I love it. We're going to come back to a more efficient team because that is so important, especially for someone who wants to get to the next level, like someone at your size. But I want to go over first, what helped you grow from 5 million 2 years ago to now 67 million? in 2025? Like, if you had to name, let's say, three things that really are like they're 80% of the reason for your massive growth, what would they be?
I would say one is mindset. I mean, we've talked on that a little bit. I think that that mindset shift and belief in myself was a big part of what allowed me to get to that next step. And number two, I have to give my fiance a lot of credit in that, in the sense of she was a driving force. Having a strong reason for why you want to be successful, for why you want to do more than everybody else, I think is really, really important to find, whether or not that's for yourself or for your family or for whoever. That's going to allow you to push past anything else that you need. And then number three is just really, I spent 2023 focusing on, let's try everything, see what I like, see what works. And lo and behold, the things that I liked were also the things that worked for me. And that was just because if you like doing something, you're going to be more successful at it, right? So then I doubled down on all of that stuff, and then all of a sudden everything exploded.
I love that. Is it okay if we go deeper into that? Like, what are the things you tried? How did you go about it? And like, how did you know you like this and it's sticky? So that's a
Yeah,
big
so
question. Start wherever you want.
yeah, and I mean, a big part of it is just, I mean, what's everything that they tell you to do when you first start, right? You do cold calls, you go to events, you host events, talk to agents, talk to CPAs, you do all of the things, right? And so I did all of the things, and I just put everything on my calendar for every week, and just overwhelmed myself because I had the time at that time. And I was forcing myself to go to 2 events a week and meet with 3 people for coffee a week and all of that. And I realized, the things that I enjoyed doing the most was face to face. I mean, it was going to the events, it was getting in front of people. And I also was like, okay, let's start tracking everything. And that was where I had the best return. So I just doubled down. And instead of going to 2 events and having 3 coffees, it was, go to at least 4 events a week. And if you host an event, it can count as 2 or something like that. And I was going to events every night. And mind you, this was during the 75 hard. I wasn't drinking. So it's not like I was going and having a cocktail with people at all these happy hours. It was just going and riding these out. And in that time frame, in December, which obviously is considered slow time for everybody, I ended up, without knowing, connecting with a CEO of a brokerage who asked me a ton of questions, and he just drilled me with 20 questions. I had all the answers, and he said, "How would you like to present to my office on Tuesday?" And they're my number one brokerage now. So it was just doubling down on it, going in front of people, and then all of a sudden, I found a whale, and it was doing what I liked to do because I was good at it.
I have so many questions. So, how are you finding these events and things to go to and getting face to face?
Getting on everything. I mean, you can go to Eventbrite, Meet Me, Facebook groups. I'll just Google like real estate events in Denver, and find those. And I'm in Tampa right now, and I'll look up randomly, okay, real estate events in Tampa, and I find someone here, and then I go back to Denver. And so it's just, I mean, you can Google, but by just having an Eventbrite and Meet Me and liking all of the events that pop up that are real estate related, they also send me events every Monday on what's going on for the week. So I think that's a really good way to find things. And some of them are good, some of them are bad. Some might have 5 people, some might have 50 people, but they're all good in different ways.
Gotcha. So you're just like using every tool at your disposal to find things that you can go to, which is that what you like. Were you still doing cold calls at this point, or once you realize you don't like it, you stopped?
So I was doing it for a little bit when I still didn't have business. I was still doing a lot of the cold calls and stuff like that. But I mean, once I started to see a little bit of the success, I slowed down in doing it. And mostly it was warm calls at this point. If you're going to enough events, you're getting enough people's cards. I mean, I had 10 to 30 people at an event. Sometimes I'd get their card. Well, now those are warm leads I can call. And yes, I'm still having to make those calls. But in my opinion, calling somebody back you met at an event is a hell of a lot more fun than calling somebody who really doesn't want to pick up your phone call.
Yeah. Oh, way different, way more fun. So nothing replaced the calls. You were still doing the calls, but the way you were meeting people was through finding events. And how long did it take you until you started to see some results, like in terms of leads and credit pulls?
I would say, I mean, I started to see some pretty quickly, like here and there, but in terms of consistently and changing my business, it was probably 2 to 3 months. So, nothing happens overnight in this business. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have is like, oh, I'm going to make all these phone calls here in December and January is going to crush it. And it's like, well, you might get a few for January, depending on what types of leads you're looking at. But generally speaking, the work you do now turns into business 2, 3 months down the road, right? So it's just realizing that and you're pushing through the uncomfortable part of, man, I've been doing this for 40 hours a week, every week, and I'm not getting any results. And then all of a sudden it just compounds on itself.
It sounds like you kiss a lot of frogs, essentially. Like if you're calling, like if you're going to a lot of events and getting 20 to 30 people that you're calling and it's not growing, you're kissing a lot of frogs. But then you meet one CEO who puts you in front of their entire team and boom, it like your entire business changes. Was have you found a lot of your business success has been that like you just meet a lot of people, but a few of them like that you never expected just transform your business?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And I mean, it's it's just the fact of you never know who's going to be really important to you, right? So you just got to treat everybody that way, and you got to have you just have to have the expectation that everybody can provide value to you, but also look to provide value to them. Because I mean, one of my largest referral sources that I've ever had was a guy I closed one deal with off of a Facebook lead years ago. He sent me a referral. That referral sent me two, and that person sent me four. And from that one guy, and all the web that he's created from doing a good job with him, I mean, I've closed probably $20 million worth of business off of his referrals or his snowballs worth of referrals. I mean, shit, I have a guy I'm closing 5 deals with next week, and we'll be closing 5 deals, and that'll be our 15th or 16th deal together once all said and done in the last 24 months.
Well, that's crazy. That's like better than a top realtor.
For sure. And that's the thing is like, especially, and that's, I think, why I kind of niched into this investor space a little bit I realized, especially during the slow time, because I mean, I joined as rates started to go up, right? I mean, I went full-time LO technically in, I think it was February of 22. Before that, I was my company's trainer and product specialist, but I went full-time LO in February of 22. Rates were going up. Nobody was refining. Everybody had already refied the previous 2 years, right? So it was slowing in purchases. And I think that's part of the reason why, even during this slow season of, high interest rates, right, is I'm still seeing growth is just where I'm finding my niching down.
Mm. I want to go into that niching down in a second, but one thing I'm still struck with is the CEO you met asked you 20 questions and you know the answers. So you were prepping yourself for like when the opportunity arises. Was that just function of you like getting exposure to these things, or were you intentionally prepping and like knowing the answers for whatever questions may come?
So a little bit of both. I mean, one of my, I think, key advantages for myself is, I started with my company as their trainer, their product specialist, because, when I originally interviewed for them, I wanted to be an assistant. They said, you're not an assistant personality. Let's find something else. I went into training and product specialist because of the fact that, I had just moved to Colorado. I didn't know anybody. I had no sphere. I mean, I was 24 at the time, right? I didn't know anybody who was buying homes. So by taking that role was specifically so that I could learn, because I knew that that would be an advantage for me. So I learned I always say I learned all the weird shit. and went into this niching down because a lot of loan officers don't know about the weird shit. So they end up avoiding it. And that's why everybody does the FHA, the conventional. So when I realized that that could be a competitive edge, I just learned everything you could about non-QM, DSCRs, the ins and outs of just every loophole type program you could. And, obviously staying on the right side of, legality, moral and ethics, but just making sure that if it fits the guidelines, we can find a way if most people can't.
You just knew the guidelines better than anyone else, and like that's what you really focus on. And then you meet the realtor, the CEO, boom, the opportunity comes. You never know how you learn one thing will really pay off in the future.
For sure.
Let's talk about the niching down. Like, when did you decide that like you are going to focus on like short-term rentals and DSCR heavily?
I think it was, I think I switched full-time loan officer in beginning of 2022. I would say by mid 2023, I had said that I was going to make that my focus because, I think a big part of it was everybody says, when you first start out and you're the young guy, you're grinding for everything, you're trying to get that one deal from an agent who sends somebody else their other 9, right? You have to be able to do the weird loans, and that's your opportunity to get the in to do a traditional type loan. And I just found that as I continued, I just kept doing the weird loans, and I didn't hate it. So I just became known as, the weird loan guy, and it just attracted it, right? And I just kept getting it, and I kept getting it, and I was like, I'm getting all of these weird loans now, and then if I can crush it on those, these agents are sending me their easy stuff too. So let's just make that my niche. And I made that my branding. It's part of my, on my socials, I'm the creative loan specialist, right? Like it's just become a part of my brand and identity at this point.
One quick note that like just sticks with me, because you work with investors, and investors, you have to speak their vocabulary. You said creative loan specialist, and what does every investor love? Creative financing. So like when you speak their language, the match happens better and easier.
100%.
So when you were meeting people, were you introducing yourself as a loan officer or as a creative loan specialist?
I would introduce myself as a loan officer who specializes in creative loans. So because I think going down creative, marketing yourself as just a creative loan specialist sometimes gets a little hairy, like even on socials and stuff like that. I get a lot of people from, the like Pace Morby type group and Sub 2 and stuff like that. And I'm like, listen, I can't do anything about Sub 2. That's we obviously can't do that as a broker. But so it gets a little hairy in the sense of you find some really weird stuff. But even still, it's like sometimes people come to you thinking, oh, a Sub 2 is my best option. And then you're like, oh, actually, what if we look at it this way? And as long as you can figure out a game plan, sometimes you can still even turn those people into a deal.
What is a Sub 2?
Yeah, so Sub 2 would be just like so Pace Morby specialize in it. It's where, it's breach of contract technically, but it's where people take over other people's interest rates. And so it's like assumptions, but on loans that aren't allowed to be assumed. So basically it stays in the name of the original seller. And then the new buyer is just making all of the payments under an LLC who takes ownership. So it's a way to, if somebody has a 2.5% interest rate, you can get a higher value for your property if you give somebody else your 2.5 interest rate. The downside of it is obviously, banks don't want you to be able to do that. So they're finding ways to catch people more and more. And if they catch people, it's nothing illegal about it, but it's technically breach of contract. So they can call the loan due and puts people at risk. So I don't like to push it, but it's I see people come to me, especially when they do get caught by the banks and need to refi out.
Interesting. Wow. There's so many parts of this industry that I don't even know. And this is one. I want to get a snapshot of your business right now. So you're going to do more than 67 million. You've done 67 million year to date, which is we're at the end of December now. How many leads are you getting in a month? How many credit pulls are you doing? And then how many are you funding?
Yeah, so right now, and we've picked up a lot in as the year's gone on. I mean, that's part of the growth, right? So I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a picture. We're at 67. We'll be at 69 when our loans fund next week. But of that, 29 million of it came in Q4. So definitely heavier end to the year than a start to the year, but that would be on 112 transactions. I'm getting roughly, my goal is 50 starts every month. And for our company, we consider a start, getting an application, obviously just without all six items to make it a true application. But if I can get 50 starts a month, that generally translates to roughly 15 plus or minus 2 closings a month.
Perfect. And that's your goal every month. How often do you, let's start with Q4, because that's when you really hit your stride. How regularly do you hit that?
Q4 every month. And so basically, I've come to break everything down as much as I can to figure out what I need to do to hit my goals. And I've been hitting at least 50 starts since, I would say, June this year. And like I said, everything filters down about 2-3 months down the road. So June, I started hitting at least 50 starts every month. Come Q4, now we're closing, where we want to be.
Gotcha. Amazing. And what is your top source of business? Is it client referrals? Is it social media, realtors? What is it for you?
Yeah, so I think now we're mostly in agent referrals or repeat clients. So I kind of have both of those in a bucket because a lot of my clients are also agents and whatever in the investor space. But as of this year, 86%, so 92 of my closings have been either an agent referral or a repeat client. And most other ones I would say are from socials or direct at events. But even I think the social media is more important than just those 15 loans that it's showing there, because I attribute like staying active on social media to a big reason of why my agents keep remembering me, and also why my past clients continue to remember me.
Yeah. So it's like it's your brand, you're staying top of mind, but also it works great from my experience as helps you convert your leads better, because like it's proof of life. People look you up, they see what you're about, they look at a couple of videos or posts, and they're like, all right, Alex is great, let's use him.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that's really big. I mean, last year we focused more on direct conversion from social media, and we, out of 25 million, 6.55 million of it was directly from socials. This year, a lower percentage is directly from socials, but we're having the highest, agent referral and repeat business percentages that we've ever seen, and making sure that I follow all of my clients and follow all of my agents. We, post on each other. You shout your agents out on socials when you close a deal with them. That helps with the rapport. And now you're being seen with that agent, so they're more likely to use you. So I think it just ends up being a snowball. And then, like you said, I mean, it's almost like an extra 5-star review for you. Like if somebody does look you up on socials, and my social media account's not huge. It's only got a couple thousand followers, and but I have a couple of videos that have had 3 million views. For some reason, they hit 3 million views. I have no idea why. and for sure, and there's stupid little B-roll type videos that just do well. But when somebody sees that, they're like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm like, this was like actually one of the most useless content pieces that I posted, but if for some reason it did well on socials, but the good content didn't, right? To me, it doesn't make sense. I'm not a social media expert, but it definitely helps.
Oh, that's so funny. So I want to tie the loop a little bit here. you said when you started to do events because you liked it, you still were making a lot of phone calls, like 20, 30 phone calls to the people that you would meet. Now you are literally one of the best loan officers in the country. Are you still making phone calls?
Yeah. And I don't like to. I definitely go through phases where I'm like, okay, slow down on it, focus on the business that I have. But I'm still right now focusing on 3 to 5 hours a week of making phone calls. So not an extensive amount, but I try to do 1 hour a day, Monday through Friday. And but a lot of the times now it's calling my agents, it's calling my past clients, it's maybe calling somebody who filled an application who I haven't heard from in a while, something like that. Like I'm not necessarily doing. I haven't done a cold call in quite some time. I mean, now that we're heading into January, and like I said, I want to get more business. I might be calling some refi leads, um, but for the most part, it's staying in front of my agents, making sure they know, what things we have going on, maybe pricing specials, certain programs, etc., and just staying in front of those people.
I love it. So it's like you're still doing the work and it's not your favorite part, but you understand it's important. And it's shifted from like, hey, it was nice meeting at an event to like, hey, we know each other, we're working. Here's something that can help your business. It can be to your client, to a realtor, or someone else. Like, here's how I can help you specifically because the relationship is formed now and you know a lot of those people. What's next for you? You built a business literally 95% of the industry would dream of having. Because I'm assuming 5% wouldn't want your business, but 95% want it. What is next for you?
I think a big part of it is growing within my team, growing my team, and then ideally I'd like to grow within my company, which I think is a mutual long-term goal, and in terms of possibly being able to grow into higher roles within the company and running not only my team but parts of the rest of the company as well. And kind of short-term goals is 2026. I'm shooting for at least 100 million, and with that, it's just to keep my team happy, right? I mean, that's a big part of it for me now is though that's the number I decided that will keep me and all of my team at the income that they want to be at, which is important. And then figuring out either how to grow my team or grow within my company at that point.
Is it a one or the other, or is it both ideally?
I think it's both. I definitely want to grow within the company, and I also want to grow my production at the same time. So I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to give up one for the other. I want to use the one for the social proof for the other.
Hmm. Let's focus on the 100 million mark because I love that, and it's such a big number in our industry. Like, it's the one that everyone says, like $100 million loan officer. It's like a badge of honor. What's your strategy for getting there?
I think my strategy is just breaking it down, and it's breaking it down month by month. So, the strategy needs to be that I'm shooting for $9 million a month every month. I mean, it's 100 million works out to be 8.3 million a month. So you shoot for 9. That way, if you fall short, you're still there. But it's really the biggest thing is literally just I'm just trying to focus everything, taking it month by month. If you try to look at the whole goal as a whole, it can seem overwhelming. It can be tough, but if you just look at the short-term task, it seems much more attainable. I mean, even this last year, my goal was 60 million. Through the first half of the year, it wasn't quite there. I hit the 30 million. It was actually in July, and was kind of slowing down. And we kind of did the math, and I went from having to do 5 million a month to 7 million a month towards the end of the year. And it was like, okay, that sounds like a lot, but if I just focus on it for this month, that sounds doable. You do that, you focus on the next month. So I think that's just kind of the next steps is breaking it into smaller chunks.
I love it. It's like breaking it down to actionable items. So for you to do 9 million, I'm assuming it's going to be more than 50 starts. How are you? But besides that, what are the actions you're going to take to get there?
So a big part of what I'm trying to do this year is host even more events, because as much as I love going to events, hosting events is even better, right? One, you get access to the email list, but two, you are the person of authority at the event. So for me, that's a big thing. I started making that a bigger priority in the second half of the year this year, and it was very successful. So I think hosting more events is a big thing. I think being able to part of it is just the smaller steps now. And I mean, I kind of spoke on it earlier, which was trying to make my team more efficient. That's really a big goal of mine going into January while we're, slower, is getting all of the systems down, because being that I hired everybody this year, well, my business was already kind of on fire. I got super busy. I didn't have the systems in place. I was just doing 5 million, just 2 years ago. How am I supposed to know how to do this much business? So my systems were just all over the place. And now I'm just really trying to hone in and figure out how we can be more efficient, because that's going to be the only way we can grow that much.
I love it. Now it's like you're thinking of it as a business owner as well, running a team, being a leader, being a manager, systems, instead of just everybody needs to see me, I need more leads. Like, also, how do you convert your leads and systems? One thing I'm really impressed with is how actually systematic you are about like building your business, making sure that it's something you like to do as well and it doesn't drain you. Do you think you could replicate this in other loan officers?
I do, yeah, and I think mostly because I had to learn it the hard way. I'm not like normally a systematic person. That's not my standard personality. It was kind of just like, okay, everything's falling apart, figure out how to fix it, right? And sometimes I think that's the best way that you learn, and then that's the best way that you can teach, because like at this point, I've made all of the failures this year, last year, the year before that, and trying to grow and fail and trying to grow and fail, that I know what to avoid at this point. And I think naturally I've always been kind of I started off as a trainer and product specialist within my company. Like, I've always kind of had that inclination to want to teach others how to be more successful. And now that I'm actually doing it, it's like, okay, now I know the answers, right? I mean, not all the answers. I don't have all the answers, but I know what it takes at this point and how to push people and grow people that way.
Yeah, it's like you knew how to do it, and then you got the badge of approval because you did it in yourself. And now if you grow in your company, or grow a team, you can just do that again because you've done it yourself. You've shown other people how to do it. Now you can combine the two and really grow a strong team. I hope you do. I hope you start to build a team, because I think more loan officers would really love to just learn from someone who has the combined experience that you do. It's rare.
For sure. And it's been great. I mean, it's a good, the ups and downs of it all. I mean, I've been through, when I first started in the industry, obviously rates were rising. Everybody said that was the worst time to get into the business. I mean, I still had a second job up until June of 2023, right? So,
Wow.
because I couldn't give up and fully commit into the business. But I also think that for me, that was a learning experience in and of itself. Is if you're going to be successful in anything, you have to go 100% in.
That's it. I love it. I think that's a really good place to end. But one last question. Can loan officers reach out to you? And if yes, how?
Yeah, so they can reach out to me. I mean, obviously I have my socials. It's Alex Reid Mortgage on Instagram and Facebook, and or directly to me at it's alexreidmortgage.com now. Sorry, my team manager just created that. Or also, I mean, I have my phone number. We can put that in there too. It's 720-762-7585. I'm open all the time, even if it's just questions. I mean, I don't care if anybody has my info, cold calls me, whatever, just to pick my brain. I'm always happy to help other people.
If anyone's watching, be respectful of Alex. Like, reach out, be respectful when you reach out. Alex, thank you so much. You've been amazing.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate it.